this video, you'll find out what to do when you are filing for tax-free in Europe, and you will also find out what not to do. I guess tax-free can be a beautiful thing. It can save you a lot of money, or it can cost you a lot of money as well. I'll also be talking about the best practices while filing for tax-free in Europe and my personal experiences, both very good ones and the very bad ones. So let's get started. We all love going shopping to Europe because we can save a lot of money, because European brands are cheaper in Europe and we can get tax refund. Usually the way how it works is you go to a European store such as Hermes or Chanel or Dior or any store, and if you make a purchase above I believe it's 90 euros, you can file for a tax return. The way how it works is when you're making the purchase, as in when you're paying, after you finished paying, you should let the sales associate or whoever is ringing you up know that you will be filing for tax-free. The people eligible to file for tax-free in Europe are non-EU residents. So if you live in the US, Canada, or any other country in the world, you're more than welcome to file for tax-free as long as you're not considered a European Union resident. When you ask them to file for tax-free, they'll usually ask to see your passport and the credit card that you make the purchase with. It's usually very easy, and the whole process at the store takes maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. And afterwards, you walk out with an envelope and a piece of paper stating how much tax is owed back to you and how to claim it when you leave the European Union. And if you're in Europe and you are going from country to country, the last port of exit would be where you would file for taxes. So like if you're going from Spain to France, you will not need to file for a tax return on that flight if you did some shopping in Spain. But let's say you're going from France to the US and you're leaving Paris, you would file for tax-free in Paris. Now the way how it usually works, there's a customs office before you check in, and you're supposed to go there, bring your passport, bring your ticket outside of the European Union, bring all of the goods that you purchased, and important note, those goods must be unused. So ideally all of these things should still have like tags on and packaging and whatnot. Basically, you make the line and a customs officer of European Union puts stamps that they indeed verify that the goods have left the European Union. And then after the customs office, you put all of the tax-frees that you have, you put them in the envelope of different tax-free companies such as Global Blue is probably the biggest one, and then you mail them out to Global Blue. They have like a mail box sort of at the airports. Usually that's how it works. And usually the amount of money that you are owed is deposited onto your credit card account, and that takes anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months depending on how busy they are. However, now they made some changes. So this was the process for many years that everyone like me were used to, but now they made a slight change that they were hoping for the better. But for shoppers like myself, and I'm sure shoppers like yourself, it actually made it worse. Now, whenever you're leaving European Union, in a lot of these airports, they have machine automated kiosks, which basically you come to scan the tax-free forms at the machine, and then it tells you if you have green light, as in you can leave the European Union without making the line at the customs office, or if you need to go see the customs officer. Now, when you spend a lot of money in the European Union and or buy something that's like above 3,000 to 5,000 euros, the machine is always going to give you the red light, and you have to go and present all of these documents to a customs officer. So usually, I will try to scan them at the machine, and because a lot of times I buy things that are more expensive than $3,000 to $5,000, so I will always have to go and make the line. Now, last time I was in Europe, I was there for 1 month, and it was in the month of May. So when we were leaving the European Union, the line at the customs was so long, and after spending 2 hours in line, we left without having the forms validated, so we actually did not file for tax-free that day. Now, usually you get the tax return stamps quite fast, but this time I'm assuming it was an abnormal circumstances, and we did spend more than 2 hours in line. It was still a lot of people in front of us, and then we ended up leaving the European Union. You have 3 months to file for tax return. So we left Europe, and then at the end of those 3 months, we had to buy a ticket to go back to Europe, and tickets to Europe are expensive, as everybody knows. Not only did we not file for tax-free then, we also had to spend money on the ticket to go back to Europe again, money on the hotel to go back to Europe again, and obviously like money for food, etc. So the second European trip has come to an end, and this time we went to the airport very early on. We did end up speaking to the customs officers that told us, listen to this, the moment that you scan your tax-free papers in the machine, you have 24 hours to file the tax return, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if it was because these officers were not very nice, they didn't seem friendly at all, and they didn't seem like they wanted to help at all. But basically, we didn't end up filing for the tax-free because they told us that we missed the window, because we actually ended up scanning those forms in the machine and it gave us red, and we didn't validate them within 24 hours. Moral of the story is, I'm not sure if we would have gotten lucky and somebody would have helped us. I do think that some countries are much friendlier to tourists and tax-free officers are nice. However, in some countries it's a lot worse. I have found that in countries that there is like a separate terminal for first class, the tax-free officers are much nicer there. Obviously, you know, when you go to like a regular airport, they kind of like don't care and they're really rude to you sometimes even. Having said that, that's the first time that I have not been able to file a tax return, and I've been shopping in Europe for decades. It's definitely been an unpleasant experience, and I will be more careful from now on. Another tip that the customs officers gave us is that whenever you have a lot of tax-free, like thousands of dollars, and you want to be on the safer side, you can go to the airport 24 hours before your departure to file the tax forms. So if you want to be on a safer side, you can go a day before. I know it's a hassle, and I know that when we're on vacation, you know, we don't want to do it, but you know, if you have tax-free and it's a lot of money on the line, like, and you just want to be safe, you can totally do that. I think that whenever I have like a lot of money pending, I will be doing that as well. When I posted on my Instagram that I had problems with the European tax refund, so many of you messaged me saying that you had also a lot of problems with European tax refunds and Global Blue and all of these things. So I guess I'm not alone there. If you want to share your experiences, positive or negative, or any other tips, please let me know, because I definitely want to be more careful going forward. I really don't want to mess with so much money when it's, you know, in the tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I just want to be careful next time, and I definitely want to get my money back. Please let me know anything that I could have missed that you think is important for me to cover. And as always, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and watch my Instagram stories. I do a lot of interactive content there, and we just share tips and best practices there as well. As always, with love.